Good morning and welcome to Unity of Vancouver. We're an inclusive spiritual community dedicated to learning from all the world's wisdom traditions, and we warmly welcome all people, all faiths, and all lifestyles. And we reserve the right to accept absolutely everybody. So welcome everybody this morning. I just want you to know that everybody at the center really misses you, and it's exciting to see your faces popping up in the little windows on screen. And we're excited to have a morning together. And as you know, the last people are busy getting logged in. I just want to share with you a couple of cute emails that I received this week that I brought a little bit of a smile to my face. Hopefully they will do the same for you. One fellow wrote me and said, "In an unsettling reversal of my teenage years, I am now yelling at my parents for going out." And the second one was little diary entries. Day one of quarantine. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to improve my health. Day two of quarantine. Due to personal reasons, I am eating lasagna in the shower. So yes, these times bring their small challenges, but I want to share with you an age-old maxim, which I believe is a true pearl of wisdom, and that is the quotation, "And this too shall pass." Yes, this too shall pass. Think about any trial, tribulation, or crisis you've ever been through in the past, and almost without exception, unless you're in the middle of another one, it is past. The nature of our reality is continual change and impermanence. So this too shall pass. So let us, if we can now, begin with Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity's opening invocation. Every service that this mystic, yeah, we'll go to that in a second, but I'm going to open with the invocation that Charles used for each of his services. Charles being the 18th century mystic who founded Unity. On opening every service, he would say, and I'm going to switch it to the plural, "We are now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit, and in thy divine wisdom, now erase our mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world according to thy perfect law." And if you would now, please turn your attention to the screen as we join together in the recitation of our one power affirmation. So all together now, there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Just as we kick off, I'd like to just take a few moments to acknowledge everybody at Unity who's been so effective and hardworking in helping to get all our programs online. We've learned a lot, and we hope to continually improve and just sharpen our production values as we move forward. But big thanks go out to Will, Cynthia, Garrett, Jennifer, Todd, and others who will be mentioned a little bit later as we go on that have been part of this shift into the online ministry that Unity is now bringing and providing. This week, we wanted to begin also by bringing your attention to an aspect of Zoom that not everybody is taking advantage of, and it can make a big difference. So this is what is called the chat function. And we'll bring up a slide that can show you how to get there. Many of you are just now learning how to interface with Zoom. And we have the ability to chat not only between you and our co-hosts who are able to answer any questions that you have, but also with your friends during the service and after the service. And that's done simply by clicking on that chat icon which you see the red arrows pointing at. And you can click to open that chat window, and there's important information, links, and various other things that get posted. So if you can get in the habit of opening that window during the service, you'll find that it will deepen your experience. And if you've got friends that you're used to chatting with, as you did when you were in person at the center, you can continue to do that using that particular feature. And once you click it, you'll notice at the bottom of the chat window, there is a little address field, and it's by default set to everyone. You can also click a little V beside the everyone, and it will open up a list of all the people that are online, and you can click on any one of them and send them a private message and develop a private chat if you like. So we just want to draw your attention to that one particular feature. And now just a quick rundown on our weekly programs. Our meditation and spiritual inquiry Sangha continues on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. That's led by Will and Cynthia. It focuses on themes of mysticism, spirituality, science, meditation, and much more. So capably led by Dr. Will and Reverend Cynthia. We invite you to join us Monday evenings. And the cool thing about that particular class is that it opens up into breakout rooms at various points. And so we congregate in small groups, usually 3 or 4 people, where we share our interpretations, our experience of the information that has been shared. And that, of course, helps us to get a deeper level of understanding and integration of the information that has been discussed. As well, we have daily meditation continuing, and this is for those who have time available at 7 a.m. And, I guess in this period of isolation, we all have time. It's just a matter of whether we're up that early, because one of the luxuries of the social distancing, quote unquote, is that we can sleep perhaps a little bit later, not having to get in the cars and fight traffic to go to work. It reminded me of a little joke somebody said online the other day, which was my morning commute has changed a lot now. There was a 2-pet pileup in the kitchen when the dog bumped into the cat. So things are changing, one of the things, as I say, we've got is this morning meditation, 7 a.m., led by Will and Cynthia. We invite you to join us for that as well. Study of A Course in Miracles continues weekly with Mary and Dick, Margaret McLeod, and Fern Logan. That runs between 1 and 3 p.m. on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays between 7 and 9. Now, you don't need to remember all these dates and times because they're in your Team Unity email. And if you haven't been receiving the emails from Unity about these programs, they do contain links. So if you haven't been receiving them, you can go to the Unity website and sign up for the newsletter there, or you can send an email to unityvanoffice@gmail.com. Easiest thing to remember, I guess, is to get to the website and put it in there, but either way will be great. And finally, in terms of weekly programs, the Quest continues with Janet Law. This happens Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Again, just like Course in Miracles and our Monday night class, there's breakout sessions, and it focuses on a series of 48 spiritual principles that have been defined by Unity School that are the most common learnings that people seek when they're starting out on the spiritual path. And, I think our whole life we're kind of starting out on the spiritual path. So no matter how advanced you are, you bring your own level of consciousness to classes like these and A Course in Miracles and so forth. And so you hear them in different ways, you pick up different aspects. And so, of course, no matter what level you're at, you can bring yourself, find new perspectives that can make a real difference in how you view and experience life. And just want to remind again, Janet's class, Quest, this Wednesday will be on helping others, how to be a light in a sometimes dark world. So it's a class that seems particularly timely for right now. So with that said, we would now like to have everybody, actually we do have one other item we want to cover, and that was the Unity Sessions musical program that we've been running for the last 3 weeks. What a phenomenal event that was. Am I right, raise your hand if you agree that that was a really cool thing. And it's, that's cool for me because, this isn't like on Sundays when I can see you where I can get verbal feedback. So it's great to have you raise your hands in affirmation. It was a great event, and a big shout out and thanks to all of the musicians who worked so hard, particularly Beverly Elliott, our musical director, who took time to organize all the musicians and set everything up together with Jennifer, and particularly also Sean Susi, who behind the scenes worked with all the musicians to make sure that the sound quality was as good as it possibly could be. And I just have to say that it was a phenomenal event. And they say it a lot of times, and it's true. It really is true. It wouldn't be a show without you. And you guys showed up, and it was set up as a fundraiser for the musicians who, of course, they thrive on public gatherings, and they can't do public gatherings anymore. And so we came up with the idea, Jennifer in particular originated the idea to have this benefit for the musicians. And I just want to tell you that in those 3 nights, we were able to raise for, and we'll be distributing 100% to the musicians. And now, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. We raised $2,346.41. So big hand for everybody who contributed, and whether it's through monetary energy or through prayers or whatever you happen to send. So that is something that, an event we can all be proud of. And if you didn't participate, I'm sure we'll do something similar to that at some point in the future. So you'll get another crack at it. So now that we're through the announcements, let's all find that comfortable position in our seat, take a deep breath, and center ourselves as we prepare to recite the New English translation of the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. And I'll lead, and you can say it along with me. Holy Spirit, creator and life of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment, and untangle the knots of error that bind us as we also release others. And we need to go to the next slide. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act from our highest nature, because from your presence comes the glorious harmony of life. May these words be fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen. So now we'll enter into our period of meditation. And just take a deep breath and release. And repeat 2 or 3 times. Nice, deep, not too deep, but just nice, deep breaths. And adjust yourself in your chair, finding a position that's not too relaxed. We don't want to fall asleep, but also not too upright or stiff. Just a comfortable resting position. And as you take these deep breaths, count them until you've taken 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now, with eyes closed, take a moment to contemplate a teaching by Eckhart Tolle, in which Eckhart says, treat whatever arises as if you had asked for it. Treat whatever arises as if you had asked for it. Now we may say, well, who would ask for social distancing and social isolation? But when we go deeper with this work, we reorient rather than social distancing, we're going to socially reorient. And we ask from our soul, why would I ask for this time of quiet, time of fewer voices being heard? Could it be that there is a more important voice within you, longing to be heard? Could it be that we have asked for this time so that we could become more intimate with our inner light? Could it be that our desire for happiness is connected to this inner light? And this inner light is so powerful that it has fulfilled your request in this moment, in this day, in this week, and in this time, and calls out to you, don't you forget about me. This still small voice takes attunement to be heard. When our minds are racing at 100 cycles per minute, thoughts coming, going, flying, the machinations of the mind can so easily drown out our evolutionary heritage of a connection to the divine that is not just theoretical, but very real. A conscious connection to the divine is very, very real. So let us all just experience a moment of gratitude, in a moment of knowing that this light loves us, and has always wanted only the best for us. And this has taken the extraordinary step of making itself more available and making you more available for communion than perhaps any time in recent memory. The voice of God comes in myriad forms. It can be a feeling, it can be felt at the gut level, the heart level. It can be the words of others. It can be in a book that you open and read. The universe is always endeavoring to speak with and commune with you. And when you connect, you just automatically feel more peace, more joy, more happiness, more love. And you shift from needing to being. And as you come into alignment more fully, that being nature is love. And we come to realize and recognize that we can make love. We can create love. We can be love in all situations and all circumstances. This is the meaning of spiritual intelligence. To never, well, not never, we all vacillate in and out of the frequency of divine love. But as we work on it, we can spend more and more time in that vibratory zone where our thoughts become intermingled and imbued with the natural flow of love that is always there as our own egos fall away. What's revealed is the true love nature that you truly are. So take just a moment to be grateful for your perfection, to know that you just need to let go of attachments, aversions, and just be. And that as everything worldly falls away, your shining divine nature will vibrate through your very being, and peace and joy become so much more available. So now, just be thankful for who you are, for this gift of life, in quiet contemplation for the next 3 minutes. And now, returning your attention to your place of being, I would like you to, again, still eyes closed, pray out from this meditation with me, this simple prayer. May we all be happy. May we all be safe on the inside and the out. And now I would like you to picture the frontline healthcare workers all around the world. And together with me, may you all be happy. And may you all be safe on the inside and the out. These frontline heroes are so special. So grateful for them. So grateful. So, returning your attention to the screen. We're thrilled today to have with us Dr. Margot McKinnon. We had Margot last year. She hosted a talk and a workshop and did an incredible job. Dr. McKinnon is the author of 2 books, The Exquisiteness of Being Human and The Body, Mind, Spirit, Soul, Oneness, Dominance Theory. That's a mouthful. That means she's got a lot of knowledge. A guide to elevating your 5 dimensions of self. Margot earned a PhD from the University of Oxford with a thesis on, of all things, if you can imagine, incorporating spirituality into Canadian public education. Wow, I didn't know anybody was working on that, and I am so blown away. That is awesome and fantastic, all rolled into one. Margot, at a personal level, has been guided by spirit since she was a child, hearing voices about soul purpose, seeing images into the future, and connecting the dots for how to live an exquisitely full and joyful human life. She travels extensively across the country, facilitating workshops on the challenges of being a spirit dominant person, elevating soul purpose, and much, much more. I would like you to please join me in welcoming to the Zoom stage, Dr. Margot McKinnon.
Well, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? Yay! I see some people I remember from last time, so that's so exciting. I really want to give a big thank you to Reverend Cynthia for giving me the space today, and Margaret McLeod, who's the first one who introduced me. Hi, Margaret, I can see you on my screen. Who introduced me because her sisters, Ella and Jane in Calgary, are dear friends of mine. Thank you to Jennifer for organizing this, and also to Marilyn and Greg, because I was going to stay with them. Hi, Marilyn and Greg, I can see you, yellow t-shirt and all, bright like the sun. Also, Lynn and Ralph, I don't see you on my screen, but I hope you're there somewhere. They're so encouraging all the time. And of course, Randy and Todd have been helping out also. And so let's get started. When I was asked to give a talk, which was way back, could have been September or October, and I had to create an abstract about what I was going to talk about today, I had a different idea. But as I was getting ready for this, I took my 5 dimensions model and I said, maybe it's time for a check-in with our 5 dimensions and see how we're doing. Because I think a spiritual community is about supporting each other in these times. And it's also about how do we rise to the challenge and grow and learn. That's how I've organized up today's talk. And I really, to give you an idea, Randy was mentioning that I wrote my 2 books. So they're right here. There's my first one and my second one. And today I thought I better start with a little refresher of who I am and what this model is, 5 minutes, and then we're going to move along. My background is I was a high school English teacher, and many years ago, 2001, that's almost 20 years ago now, I was doing my master's degree because I was thinking of becoming a high school principal because my school jurisdiction wanted this. And I went to do my master's at the University of Calgary. And I took one course just for myself, and it was called The Philosophy of Mind. And in that course, the very first homework assignment was, how are the body, mind, spirit related? Well, as Randy mentioned in my bio, I was one of those little kids who could see ghosts and I could see into the future. I always had this very assertive, deep voice that has guided me in my life. So when I got my homework assignment, which was how are the body, mind, spirit related, I came home and I went into my usual space to get information that I need. And that voice came in and it told me what I'm going to share with you today. For some, it's a refresher, and for some people, it's new. It told me that we have more than 3 dimensions. We have 5 dimensions of self. We have 5 fingers, which helps us remember that. We have a body, mind, spirit, soul, oneness. And it also said that we're born dominant in one of those dimensions and we grow the other ones over time. Once you read this model, you'll see the world in a very different way. You'll see all the people in it in terms of the 5 dimensions, and you'll be able to respond better and better to that. Body dominant people really love the physical, tangible parts of life. To put very simply, like sports, contact sports, hair, makeup, fashion, really great dinner parties, food. And we know some other people don't have a huge interest in that, but some people do. Body dominant people. I love going to a body dominant dinner party. They're so wonderful. Mind dominant, logical, rational self. And some people are excellent at creating systems and navigating our way through this pandemic. Spirit dominant, they remember the unconditional love from the other side, where we came from and where we're going back to. So spirit dominant people, they live in that space of unconditional love. They're very, very sensitive, and they can look out at this world as if it's harsh and abrasive because they are very sensitive and filled with unconditional love. So their feelings are hurt very easily. Soul dominant, they live on purpose, and their purpose is the most important part of them. And they can't do a job unless it's on purpose. And we can see a lot of soul dominant people coming to the fore right now, our healthcare workers coming to the fore and using their soul dominance. They will go to work even though they risk getting the disease themselves because their soul tells them they need to be there. That's the most important thing. And then oneness, which is our sense of absolute connection to all time, space. When I wrote my first book, so when I came up with that, I wrote this book, which was called The Exquisiteness of Being Human. At the time, so let's think back, 2001, that was 20 years ago nearly. At the time, I realized I'm a spirit dominant person. I value unconditional love. I looked out at a world that seemed so harsh and abrasive and sometimes unnecessarily cruel. And I had this feeling of sometimes just wanting to go home now. Like, how long do I have to stay here? Can I go home now? And I realized, Margot, you must find a way to feel at home on earth. And that's why I called this the exquisiteness of being human. I had to find my own exquisiteness and my own pathway here on earth as Margot McKinnon. I noticed in my classroom, I could see the body dominant students. I could see the mind dominant students. The mind dominant students were doing really quite well because the school system was designed for them. The spirit dominant kids were floating around, and there really weren't a lot of courses for them that spoke to them. This model helped me teach them better. And I run workshops. After I wrote this, I ran workshops on how do you turn your spirit dominance into a superpower? Because quite often spirit dominant people want to sit in the background. They're more ghost-like than human-like. And so they'll sit in the background. I wanted to teach spirit dominant people to rise up to the challenge of leadership, because we need more leaders who understand unconditional love. We needed them to transcend their feelings that this is a harsh and abrasive world, and instead learn how to navigate it with confidence so that we can get more spirit dominant leaders. I worked for a long time on that. And then I went off to Oxford to get my PhD. And when I came back, I realized that I needed a book that was for everybody. In this book, I really took it from a spirit dominant perspective. And I put oneness first in here. I went oneness, soul, spirit, mind, body. In this book, my editor said, Margot, put body first. Don't start with oneness. Oneness is too much of an abstract concept for a lot of people to understand. If you start with oneness, people are going to lose, like they're going to go, I don't know, this is all too woo-woo for me. But if you start with body, people say, I accept I have a body. Yes, I accept I have a mind. Okay, I can move them toward, yeah, okay, I know I have a spirit that lives inside of me that wants to have a beautiful life here. Oh, I can accept that I have a soul purpose. And now I can accept this concept of oneness, which is total connection and belonging. So start with body. I really resisted because this voice told me to start with oneness. But I went with my editor and I said, all right, I'm going to put the body first and work my way through. And in here, there's lovely, like where you can do a self-inventory on your 5 dimensions. There's a lovely conversation guide. It's really great for a book club. I put body first, but it was with a little bit of anxiety because when that voice tells me to do something, I have to like really follow it. Now I ask this question, and this is a very powerful realization because for so many years I was helping spirit dominant people rise up to the challenge of having an exquisite life. Now I'm asking this question: how would our lives be different if we put oneness first? How would our world be different if we put oneness first? And that's such an important question. As I was thinking about what am I going to talk about to Unity Vancouver, I decided to situate it in terms of the 5 dimensions, but let's put oneness first. We know that this time in our lives, it's a catalyst for something. We know that. What is that something it's being a catalyst for? We know that. Lots of people are really reflecting on going into their spirit dimension and into their purpose and really thinking about when we come out of this, what is my new way forward? Because we're talking about the new normal now. What is my new way forward? So I was thinking about this oneness, and When you see me looking off over here, I have a perfect view of downtown Calgary, all the skyscrapers. So I look over there and I think, look at that mind dominant world that's sitting over there in skyscrapers. But when we think about oneness, when we look at our time that we're living in right now, look at it. The body dimension of self now has, I was cutting my hair yesterday with my kitchen scissors, thinking I was trying to get ready for you guys. Like I thought, oh, let's get in here, cut a few chunks that we can't get our hair done. Nobody's getting mani-pedis anymore. You can't go to the gym. A lot of these where people are body dominant, this is where they thrive and excel. This is now going over here. We have to put that over here because of self-isolation. The mind dimension of self. People can't go off to work. They can't build their businesses and their structures because they don't know what the new normal is going to look like. And so the mind dimension, with some of that, is going over here. The spirit dimension of us, we're now in here, like as if we're living like spirits now, because we can't activate the body in the mind dimension like we could before. And now the oneness dimension this is creating a whole space for oneness dimension to come forward. And what I find, what I find is each of our dimensions kind of opens up and closes down at different times in our life. And we have to, like right now, I think about the people who are in the hospital. My sister actually was admitted because she had a brain hemorrhage this week. And she had to go to an ambulance over to the Foothills Hospital. Nobody could be her advocate. We couldn't go in. We don't know whether she's gonna live or die. Who's gonna be, I'm her power of attorney. Who's gonna make the decision if something goes awry? None of that was put in place. So we've been living on pins and needles. I talked to my sister just before I came online here. She's fine. She needs to recover in there, but she's doing self-reflection. She said, I'm really going to spend this really looking at myself and what's going to be my new normal when I come out of here. And I think we're doing that because she can't do the physical stuff right now. She's in a hospital bed and she's really going into more of her really some self-reflection. And I think we're all doing that as we have the time to do that. And so what I'm saying is our dimensions, maybe the physical is going this way, the mind is going this way, it's creating space for oneness to come forward. And this year, I speak at teachers' conventions all over the country. And this year, when I asked the voice, what do you want me to speak about this year? It said, speak about the loneliness epidemic. Okay. I had to put that abstract in August, and the convention was this February. Luckily, I got a chance to do my loneliness epidemic. When I arrived 45 minutes early, I noticed I was up against the keynote speaker, who was Arlene Dickinson from Dragon's Den. And I thought, no one's going to come to see Margot McKinnon about her loneliness epidemic when they can go and see Arlene Dickinson. So I was setting up my PowerPoint. People started to trickle in early and they said, oh, I'm on the waiting list for your session. And I thought if I got here early, I could get in. A waiting list. My room filled, it had 200 seats and there was a waiting list. What does that say about our society right now? Loneliness is a sign that our oneness dimension is low. When the people trickled in, they sat, like it was round tables of 8. One would sit here, one would sit there, one would sit here. Guess what they did? Got their phones out, right? Scroll, scroll, scroll. I'm not a phone person. Like I really don't know what they're doing, but I found out they're looking on Facebook and Instagram. But anyway, they're keeping themselves busy. And I thought, I wonder if I go around to each one of them, what would happen? So relieved that I talked to them. I opened up my presentation on the loneliness epidemic with my observation that they took their phone out and put a barrier between themselves and everybody else. I said, I wasn't sure if I should come in and even talk to you because you had your phone out looking really busy. I said, what if you took this teachers convention, because I was speaking at 9 o'clock first thing in the morning on the first day. I said, what if you took this teachers convention and said, how many friends am I going to make in the next 2 days? As I go from room, because they'd have to go to like 6 presentations a day, walking into a room full of strangers is a skill set we have to do as a human being over and over and over again. How do we do that better? Meet strangers. Meet like Marilyn and Greg. I stayed with them last time I was in Vancouver, and we talked like till 3 in the morning every night. And I got thinking and I said, well, when you've been such old friends like we've been, and it's the first time we've ever met, you have lots to talk about, you know? So we do have all these friends that are out there if we just create more oneness, that skill set of building connection and belonging. And the teachers at the end of my loneliness epidemic, they said, oh, I wish you were running a session, the very last one, so that we could tell you what happened over the 2 days. I said, who knows? You might meet the love of your life, but you have your phone there and you're not going to meet them because they're not going to come by and talk to you. So this year with this voice coming in, talking to me about loneliness, and now we have this COVID incident where we're all self-isolating, guess what we're craving? Oneness. We want to see people in real life now. We're tired of seeing people on the phone. We want to get back together again, don't we? True. It's really bringing it to the fore. And I thought, okay, we've had other things that have happened. You had your BC fires. We had our Fort McMurray fire. We had our flood. We've got hurricanes and tornadoes, earthquakes, but they're kind of localized. And it draws people together and then people forget about it. But this COVID pandemic is a worldwide phenomenon. And it's a worldwide phenomenon because we need to work together. It's creating that space where oneness is going to pull us through. We have to care about each other. We've got to have care and compassion. That's why we're self-isolating, because we have care and compassion for others. We don't want to infect anyone. Like I think, well, if I get it, that's okay. My fear is that I would infect someone else. I really want you to think about this oneness. When the voice came in and told me about this, they said, oneness is a force. It's a force of oneness. How can we all be that force of oneness as we move through this COVID? And when we come out the other side, let's not let the oneness dimension shrink. Let's keep it bold and proud. As I was thinking about getting ready for things, I decided, well, I'm going to go out and take some photographs of people exhibiting oneness all around in my neighborhood. I'm learning how to use this Zoom. So if I go share, I used to have my PowerPoint up, so I put it in a PowerPoint. And I wanted to show you the slides because it's a really fun activity. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if today, when you go out for your walk, take your camera with you and start snapping some pictures of oneness in action. So I did oneness, and then I moved myself into soul and spirit. And I'm really hoping I did this right. If not, just laugh and get myself organized. If I go share screen here, I'm going to go share screen. I used to have my PowerPoint here, but let's see what happens. Here we go. There we go. Share. Yeah. Go. Play from start. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint now and my slides? I don't get to see you, but I was thinking the COVID check-in with our 5 dimensions, because we're really adapting right now. We've got self-isolation, uncertainty, but we also have positive changes and rising up to the challenge. And I'm thinking, as I was going through this, I thought, I bet we can create some really nice mantras or some metaphors as we move through this time period that we could be sharing with each other moving forward. And as you know, starting with oneness, what is oneness? When you look up at that big, bold sky, and you know that you're so lucky to be alive at this point in time in history. You feel completely at one with everybody and everything and all space and time. I came across this flag upside down. That flag's been there. I run by it every day. It's been upside down on the front of someone's house around the corner. And I thought, we are upside down. Our values are now shifting. We're now seeing our seniors who've been locked up. They're coming to the fore. We're looking at who's caring for them. How much are they getting paid? Why are they only getting paid that much? We're shifting. We're turning everything upside down because we have to. We're caring more about our healthcare workers and our people at Safeway, protecting them too. I thought, here, I run past this sign every day, and it took on new meaning as a metaphor. We're in a speed bump. Well, what is a speed bump? Forces you to slow down, look around, take some more care and caution around people around you.
Hi, everybody. I can't talk to Randy behind the scenes, so I think we may have lost Margot. So I'm going to try and restart what's going on. This is just a part of our new world. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Randy, for a moment, and I'm going to work with Margot on the other end, if that's okay.
Okay. So are you going to
Hi, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Am I back on?
You're back on.
Am I?
Sorry,
Okay.
yes, you are. So maybe sometimes it's just the overload of the system.
I think so.
Okay, so if you want to just share from your heart, then that's
okay,
wonderful.
so we can't see my slides anymore, right?
You can try again, but I think that's maybe what froze it. So if you need to share a few more, go for it. Let's try it. We're just flowing today.
Yeah. Can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
So I only have a few more, and then I'm going to close up. We can see people reaching out and making these connections, and go out and take some photographs and share them with us. I found the muster point around the corner. We have to create new muster points. You know how in a state of emergency, you have to go and find a muster point, but for some of you, it might be by the water. You might want to, we're connecting on Zoom today. I'm rushing because I don't want to get lost in all of this. Finding new muster points. We want to, I saw these people there. There they are, banging. I heard Greg and Marilyn, they bang their pots and pans every night. I want to go to my next one here. There they are, banging theirs. Which is a real coming together of everybody. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get the peaks. I want to go to the next. No, stop. I want to get just to my next slide. I found somebody put this up. If you're reading this, take a couple of deep breaths. We're all in this together. You can see oneness. Where it used to be an abstract concept, it's real now. It's growing. We're in a time of growing that concept. The soul purpose, your soul purpose will start coming out. It's your anchor. It's that boulder that seems out of place. And while you're in your transformation or you're thinking about yourselves, I heard this great line in that movie, Finding Joe. And she said, the thing that made you feel out of place, like this boulder here, out of place, is likely your purpose all along. So have a look at that as you're going through the time you're in right now. I thought, whoever you are and whatever you have to offer from your soul purpose. I saw these little kids had put these signs up. I saw that sign on somebody's front lawn. Then, of course, there's Captain Tom Moore, you've probably seen on the news in England. And one of my readers from England sent this to me and he said, you know, here's Captain Moore. He's turning 100. He wants to be able to do 100 laps of his garden before he turns 100. He thought if he could raise 1,000 pounds, he'd be happy. As of yesterday, he raised 17 million pounds. Your spirit dimension, really take some notes as you're going through here about your life, like my sister's doing in the hospital. She's doing a whole reflection now on her life and what she wants, her new normal. We see the mind dimension. We see new things happening where we've got the X's on the ground. We see play yards closed. We see that we have a new system we need to live in, but it also means we are innovative. We have a whole bunch of new innovations happening, businesses trying to do things differently, Unity Vancouver doing things differently. It's a time to organize. So it's a really great catalyst for innovation and getting a new sense of organization in our lives. I found this. I was out for my evening walk and I found that martini. Do you see it on the top of that mini? The body dimension. People are socializing differently now. And they were going to have drinks in, like yelling, neighbors having drinks. And this man had put his martini there. It looked so delicious. I thought it was so cool on the top of the car. But we're doing things differently. I have a whole new route for my running. I'm using my weights more. And the baking's a little out of control though, I gotta admit. So doing things differently in the body dimension. And when we think about mantras, I got the first hibiscus bloom on my hibiscus tree. A hibiscus can only bloom when it's stressed. We are all in that point right now, but it's such an opportunity for us. And I really think oneness is really coming out here for all of us to explore. And eventually we'll be able to go back to kissing. This happens to be on the sidewalk outside my favorite patisserie. And we'll be able to come back together again at the end of all of this. But how are we going to move forward? And that's the end. Really focus on your 5 dimensions. We can have some chats about this afterward. But if anybody wants to get a copy of my book, just send me an email. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on Beyond Reality Radio, and it streams live BC time at 8 o'clock. So you might want to tune into that. I'm doing a Zoom service for First United Spiritualist Church in Burnaby next Sunday in the evening. And I'm doing a Zoom workshop next Monday night for Burnaby Spiritualists, but anybody can join. Email me if you want to register. We're focusing mainly on the spirit dimension, the soul and oneness. And I thought, oh, I'll run another red flags in relationships because spirit dominant people tend to get caught up in some very toxic relationships. And if you want to contact me, here are my contact details. And I love emails. If anybody wants to email me your thoughts about what you're doing, send a picture that you went out and found about oneness, love it. So I thank you so much, everybody, for inviting me. It was such a thrill to have my first Zoom talk. Thank you so much, Randy.
Thank you, Margot. Very much appreciated.
Stop share. There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I like the thought that a hibiscus, like all organisms, needs to be stressed in order to bloom. We
Mhm.
only evolve when we're under pressure. Otherwise, we kind of go into a bit of stasis. So seeing the opportunity in this time and in this moment, as different as it may be, I would like to ask everybody now to get into the mode of thinking about our offerings today. And we thank you so much for your support. We're so grateful. You know, every dollar that is given is carefully managed to ensure that we can continue, that Unity continues to be you know, stable and capable of innovating and growing and bringing more spiritual support and oneness to you as we go forward in this next few weeks and months. And so those offerings are very, very important. So I would like to now bring up the slide so we can all do our offering blessing together. And if you would now, holding your offerings in your mind and in your hearts, maybe your hands over your hearts, let us now say all together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Yeah. And so we wanted to draw your attention as we, you know, get into this remote relationship, that it can be very easy to make your donations during this time. It doesn't need to be onerous. In particular, many of us, including my wife Linda, I know Janet, as well as you know, Luz, Rubio. There's a whole bunch of people at Unity who are. We're all now using this Tithely app, and it really makes giving easier than literally ever before, because you just download it to your phone from the App Store or on Google Play, depending on what kind of phone you have, and you set it up one time, and it's a very secure site, approved by all the banks. And you put in your credit card one time, and then after that, all you do is tap the app, enter in how much you want to donate, and hit send, and you're done. So we really want to encourage people to use that. Now, if you're not, you know, up and running with a smartphone in that way with apps, you can also go to the Tithely site. If you just search Tithely, it will allow you to go on and create an account online in your browser. So, you know, there's two different ways to use Tithely, one on your phone or one on your computer. So with that said, Tithely is one way of getting that done. And then we also enable you to give using PayPal. And in order to give PayPal, probably the easiest way to do that is just to go to our website, unityofvancouver.org, and that little green square you see in the bottom left corner, that is the exact same image that we have on the website. And just below that, there's a button you click, and then you can donate using one of your favorite credit cards or your PayPal account, whichever way you prefer. And as well, there's links to all of these modes of giving that are in your chat. And finally, last but not least, if you prefer to go with traditional checks, you of course can still send those or drop them off. I was at the Unity parking lot last Sunday, and I saw somebody dropping one off, so I know that it's still a favorite for many people. Just fill out those checks, put them in an envelope, drop them off at the center, and we do come in once a week to pick those checks up and deposit them in the bank. And we really do thank you for your donations. They're so very, very important, and they're what makes this thing like this possible for all of us this morning. And so let's see, where do we go after that? Yes, we go to prayer chaplains. This is one of the things we're you know, really quite pleased to be able to provide, is for those of you that enjoy spending a few moments with the prayer chaplain after the service, we still do that online. And our prayer chaplains today are Luciana Velve, Angelica Miras, Raymond Lancaster, and Shirley Thompson. And these people have been specially trained to hold with you in confidence your intentions and to help put them out into the universe in a way with authority and power and knowing and faith. And anything that you ask for, whether it's for improvements in your life or whether it's for healing for yourself or another, whatever it may be, and there are no rules around it. Whatever you'd like to ask for, they will hold that with you. And anything that you ask for, they will hold in the strictest of confidence. Now, the way that we get onto these, it's held as a separate Zoom meeting. And so the way that you get onto it is the easiest way is to take the link out of your chat. It's there. You basically copy it and then paste it into your browser, and it will take you to another Zoom meeting where you will be queued to have your own private meeting with a prayer chaplain. As well, if you're more comfortable, you can go to your last email from Unity, from Team Unity, search Team Unity, that email comes up, you go in, you go to the prayer chaplain section of the Sunday service, you click that link and it'll take you straight there. So there's a couple of ways. And if for any reason you can't, those things don't work for you, that email will also have, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, a phone number you can call in. You can actually log in to the prayer chaplain, a prayer chaplain session by phone. So there's a variety of different ways, but simplest, just take the link out of your chat, put it in your browser, and away you go. So that is that, and in just a few moments we'll be ending the service with our prayer for protection. If you want, just after that, you will then head over to the prayer chaplain facility. Unfortunately, now we've been closing every week with the peace song, which we all know and love so much, but we are wanting to make sure that we do everything in this new online world correctly. And because there is a wide distribution online and we put these things on YouTube, we wanted to make sure that we're doing everything correctly in terms of copyright with the peace song. And so this week, we're not going to close with the peace song, but we're going to do something quite similar, but just a little different. I want everybody to put their hands on their hearts, close their eyes, take a deep breath, and then repeat after me. Let there be peace on earth, and may it begin with me. One more time. Let there be peace on earth, and may it begin with me. And now let's say our prayer for protection. All together now. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you for being here today. And now Jennifer will take the reins for a few moments and share some other details that'll help us to move on to the next phase of this morning's service.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us. Everybody did really well today. It's a flow. Thank you, Margot. That was amazing. I loved all that information. And Randy, what a fabulous job of facilitating and a beautiful meditation. So the next part, those of you that need to go, we totally understand. We hope you stay for coffee and conversation, but if you can't, we understand. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Those that are wanting to join the prayer chaplains, you are going to leave this meeting, bottom right-hand corner. You can just click on that, leave the meeting. And then you're going to need to click on, go to Zoom. The easiest way, if you don't have your newsletter right in front of you, as Randy said, is go to zoom.us. I know Todd put .com, but it is zoom.us. And then you enter the Zoom, your meeting ID, which is right there in the chat, and your password, Unity. So you can go and join the prayer chaplains. Unfortunately, you won't be able to come back afterwards into the coffee and conversation, but we hope you enjoy your time with those beautiful prayer chaplains, and we're wishing you all the best. If you want to stay for our breakout rooms, we are going to go into about 20 minutes of conversation and be able to break out into smaller groups. We do need to wait just a moment in order to be able to see who's kind of leaving us for the moment and who's going to be remaining. And I'm going to pass it over. Todd's going to pop online. I think Randy's still here as well too. Margot, if you want to show yourself, you guys can chat amongst yourselves for the next about 2 minutes while I organize whoever is staying and moving them into the breakout rooms. You'll have 20 minutes to be able to connect and have a chat. As Margot said, just some food for thought. Maybe you want to share it in your conversations. Margot had given us some great ideas. What is a mantra that you are implementing into your life right now in this new world that we're experiencing? Or what are some of the ways in which you've seen oneness in your community on your walks? Maybe you want to share that as a group with one another. We'll do that for about 20 minutes, and then I will pop into your room and let you know when we have about about 3 minutes left to go. We'll come back to the main room, and then Margot's going to stay with us, and whoever else wants to stay, we can just have a bit of an open conversation. So I'm going to unmute everyone. So if you want your mute on, please feel free to use it if you're chatting kind of amongst yourselves. But I will give everyone the option to unmute, and then you can share and talk amongst yourselves as I do a little bit of organizing on the back end. Thanks for the patience.